Go with the iron. Go with the iron. I love iron. I almost said something to one of the judges at the start about all the rainbow falls in my deck. I was like, I dig.
Yeah, there's some that are a bit spaced out.
Sure.
A few foils. And if you really are concerned of it.
Well, I just wondered if they'd pick it up in the deck chat. Just like, the problem is like, half of it is foil. So it's not like, yeah. I mean, like all of my Okins are foils and all my endlesses are foil, but like,
The whole deck's double sleeved.
yeah, whole deck's double sleeved. Yeah, they're all just every foil just slightly. But yeah,
I don't think that's nice.
lovely. Thank you. I mean, would have been good to check at like the start of the day rather than but yeah, I don't know. Just thought I'd bring it up for my peace of mind.
It was like all your Okonals and nothing else.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's why I thought it was fine, is because I've basically just foiled every card that I can. So it is, you know, it's all the Okanards and the Endlesses, but it's also a bunch of the blues and some ice cards and some of the Deriacs.
Like someone top rated an event and then they were like scrambling to find one or two random foils to put in their deck, so it was more like
Yeah. I had pop out of the Pro Quest. I had 2 Whelming Gust Waves, and they were tacos. So they were the promos. Those promos just taco like anything. So I had to replace them. I was like, oh fuck. Actually, yeah, that's really right. They're like, you know, they were like, you know, physically, yeah, it's a bit crazy. I think, yeah, but it was Alan, and Alan just said like, we can tell that you didn't do this on purpose. You know, it's.
Hello everyone, sorry, just had some slight technical issues there, but welcome back to Battle Hardened, Auckland. Sorry, it looks like I had the wrong mic active, but anyway, we've got our top 8 all sorted. So we had 2 Bravo players, 4 5 players, Briar and Oldham, and so just running down the order, in the first 2 spots we had Bravo, and 3rd, 4th and 5th we had Phi, in 6th place we had Briar, 7th place Oldham, and 8th place Phi. So it looks like in this game we are going to have the Bravo vs Oldham sort of Guardian class mirror thriller. And yeah, I do believe that Sam Payne on Bravo actually took down this game. They played in the last round of Swiss, and I believe he took down Oldham.
Yep, it was a nice grind match, but I think Sam just clutched it out in the end.
Yep, so we will we'll have to see if, you know, Winton may adapt his strategy. Maybe he'll sideboard differently, play more or perhaps even less cards, depending on what his strategy is. And same thing for Sam. Okay, so looks like they are just shuffling up and should be ready to go very shortly. Actually, I'm just going to go let the players know we're all good to go on our side in case they're waiting for us. I'll be right back.
So, fun fact, Kieran.
Yes?
Winton was actually the last Battle Hardened winner in Auckland.
That's actually a very good point. So in the Monarch Seal Deck calling that was held in Auckland last year with a draft top 8, Winton actually won that Battle Hardened event on Control Katsu, I believe, taking down a chain in the final.
So I think he's back to defend his title.
Yeah, back to defend the title. So, and you know, Houston and I were just talking earlier, saying that this one is sort of the absolute polar opposite of our last round of Swiss, where we had a 5 vs Briar very explosive game that ended very, very quickly. I don't think we'll see this game end in about 3 or 4 minutes.
Nah, this game will hopefully be around 20, 30 minutes.
Yep. So as far as weapons, so it looks like Bravo's presenting the Anathos, and we've got Oldham presenting the Sledge.
Yep.
Do you just want to walk me through, so the Sledge of Anvilheim on the Oldham, is this just to be able to keep up with the sort of parity on the weapon attack for fatigue issues?
Yeah, you could say that, Karen. the Winter's Whale and Rampart just isn't enough pressure
Yep.
against a Bravo deck, especially when the Bravo deck's hammer is taking 6 every turn, and the Oldham's hammer is only taking 4. So you kind of lose that. You lose that trade.
Yeah, no, and that's a good point. I feel the Frostbite just isn't as threatening into a deck like Bravo, which plays a ton of blues. So it's not
100%.
like you're playing into a Fire, which may struggle if they get stuck with like an all red hand, and that Winter's the Frostbite is very, very impactful.
All right, so I think Sam finished second. So I think second in Swiss. So I think is electing to go first. And
Okay, his Final Crush dominate just right off the bat. There's no messing around here. He just wants to push a little bit of damage. We'll see if... Okay, so he's able to defend that for 6, I believe. Biting Gale plus the Earth React.
so yeah.
Okay.
So
So just sorting out his pitch stack there. Looks like
was he
actually...
meant to take life?
Yeah,
I didn't get.
do you mind just... we'll just make sure that players just keeping the life totals on the phone so the viewers can keep along. Okay, so Winton's saying anything you can do, I can do just as well, and he comes in with his own Spinal Crush for 9 here.
The life button. Yes, there we go.
And it's been updated. So we see a Spinal, I've just seen you some Spinal Crush coming down from Winton, saying, I can throw down these big guarding attacks as well.
Turning the favor, right?
Yep. Now it feels like this, it's not like the Crush effect is hugely impactful, but I feel it's more just, trading out cards from hand, right?
Yep, and this one isn't as great as Sam's one because it's not dominated.
Yeah.
Sam can just throw 3 cards at it.
But no, I think we just saw the, that power of Oldham being able to preserve cards in deck, being able to effectively block, 6 of that damage by using 1 card because of the power of that Earth React. And it looks like he'll be able to keep that card in Arsenal, all important for the Crown of Seeds.
Alright, so he looks to block 8.
Yeah, so he showed to block 8 damage here, taking 1. Now, honestly, it's not big power red cards, but he did manage to get rid of the Cranial Crush and the Rouse the Ancients here.
Yep.
So he'll be happy sort of stripping a bit of the damage out of the deck there.
Alright, now Winton has a 5-card hand. Let's see how much pressure he can put on.
Okay, so I think both players are just
Oh, E-Strike.
potentially asking how many cards in deck.
Alright, so Winton's going to start with a Lightning Strike. Most likely 5 go again, and then into a Sledge.
Yeah, so he's got a... I didn't quite catch the Arsenal card there yet, but it looks like it's just going to be E-Strike for 5 into Sledge for 6.
Yeah, 7 damage.
That's good, and also, like we talk about number of cards in deck, this will probably take up 2 cards. The Sledge will also take up 2 more, so then you've got 4 cards for 1. And also on top of that, he's got that Heart of Find Out in hand, so he's also going to gain a life from the Sledge, which it depends on how the blocking goes in Slide and Strike. So yeah, Sam blocks for 3. He might be able to, to get past that here.
Yeah, looking at both lists, Winton's deck list is definitely a bit more aggressive than Sam's. With the Lion Strikes,
Does Zealous Belting?
Zealous Beltings,
Looks like he's got...
Rouse Ancients.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it and seeing as well that he's got access to... Okay, so it looks like he did Staunch Response the Enlightened Strike, and then he pitched the Gain to Life. So, I feel Winton has probably got, the slightly better of the early trades. Still a very long way to go in this game, of course. But yeah, if we just have a quick look through, you mentioned he's got some Crusher weeks, which perhaps he just plays for raw damage. There's Zealous Belting you mentioned, which is coming down now. That's a Cranial Crush and the Pitch Zone with 8 power, so it does have Go Again.
Winton's not going easy. He wants to play attack with Go Again, Sledge. Attack with Go Again, Sledge.
And so far, so good for the game plan.
Yeah, because Sam's basically lost 8 cards. He's been blocking every turn.
Absolutely, and even just these small exchanges of cards can end up being pretty important in the late game, because obviously things like Crown of Seeds and the Earth React and Oldham, you're able to prevent damage without giving up cards.
Okay, and even better than Sledge, mate.
Okay.
Endless Winter for 8.
Geez, now, are we watching Oldham, or is this some sort of, weird Briar or Fire deck? Multiple big attacks just coming down.
Just non-stop pressure from Winton.
Yeah, now we don't know the exact sideboards, but I wouldn't be surprised if Winton has just put in all his red attacks for this. So, the Crush of the Week, E-Strikes, Zealous, Spinal Crush, Oaken Old, Endless Winter.
Yep.
Just to trade out, hey, here's 1 card for 2 cards kind of thing. And we do see he does have, just the big strong blue cards like of course, Rouse the Ancients, the Cranial Crush, Glacial Footsteps. All these cards that are just pretty good at, they're blues, but they manage to trade out cards in hand.
So an interesting card in Sam's deck list is he runs triple Pulverize.
Okay, now that's quite a good one. I spoke to Kale earlier. I believe he quite likes the card. So we're just seeing an Anathos for 4 coming down. How is that coming through from the Frostbite?
So Endless Winter's ability states if you activate an ability, you make a Frostbite. So swimming with Anathos.
I see. Yeah, no, of course.
Here comes another 9-strike, Karen.
Okay, so I feel Winton must be thrilled at the start. Everything's going according to plan. You're not, because the thing is, you could just as easily be forced to block with some of these power cards like the E-Strikes and the Zealous Beltings.
Yeah, it's another 2 damage.
Okay, so we said it was going to be a bit of a grind out, but who knows?
Oh,
Is that another Endless
rinse
Winter?
and repeat.
Okay, so just a really good start for Winton so far, being able to keep up the pressure. Okay, so I can see he's got a Sink Blow in hand, but, Sam, as well, he's taking a little bit of damage, but he's managing to at least come back in with these Anathoses to keep a little bit of pressure up on the swing back.
Yep.
One thing to note as well is that Sam does have access to multiple pummels in the deck, which Winton does not. So, both these decks are very powerful defensive tools. I'm not sure how much that's going to swing things, but perhaps later on in the game it will. So you see again, he's able to defend and potentially use that Earth card to prevent the damage. Oh no, just shoots and take it. So Winter's Bite, which is nice. It kind of forces a bit of interaction. It's a card out of your hand. If Sam does have something like the Staunch Response here, he will be able to efficiently use those. By pitching a blue, use all the resources.
Yep. So it looks like Winton's just going to go for a Sledge this turn, judging by his hand. Yep. Coming in for 6.
Okay, yeah, so it certainly feels like both players know what their game plan is here and their role. One thing to note as well, potentially a key card in this matchup, if it does go quite late, is that Sam has access to the 1 Remembrance.
Yes.
Which Winton does not. Winton does have things like So Tomorrow, which will be able to maybe recycle cards later on in the game.
Sam took the 6, Karen.
Okay.
Must really like his 3-card hand. Yeah, so he has no Surge, so maybe a Spinal Crush is coming?
So Winton able to open up that early life lead, and quite significant as well,
Yeah.
9 life.
So Sam's firing back with his Zealous Belting.
Okay, I feel this makes a bit more sense now. I feel he sees this as potentially his turn to take a bit of tempo back in this game. So we see the Zealous Belting coming for 5, and I imagine that's going to be followed up with an Anathos for 6.
Yeah. And then Arsenal.
Oh, is that potentially a Tome of Findale he had in hand as well?
Is it?
I didn't quite catch that, but he does have 1 on the deck, and he is playing Mage Master Boots, so presumably he is playing it in this matchup. And that's E-Strike number 3 in Winton's hand, though.
Alright, electing to block. Taking 2.
Okay, so there comes the Surge, and the Anathos for 6.
Now, if that's a Tome of Findle, Winton can disrupt it. He can Ice React the last card. And then Sam would have to set up again.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Now, I wonder if Sam has thought about that here.
Oh, he's blocking with V-Strike. Okay. Guess he's just gonna Sledge for 6. Yep.
Okay, I'm a little bit curious about potentially those other cards in hand block for 2. We can see the So Tomorrow in one other card, because otherwise you'd be thinking potentially the E-Strike represents 7 damage as opposed to the Anathos 6. Now we'll see if Sam does have that Tome of Find Out, and I'm not 100% sure, but I thought I caught sight of something like that. If he wants to maybe block with 1 card to get the big Tome turn off, but he could just easily block with 2 cards and go for the gain 4 life play. But so far, I have to say, these players are not messing around, you know, they know what they're doing, they're both very good on the decks. Sam Payne, similar to Kale McCreath as well, has been a very sort of OG Day 1 Bravo player, so he's played a large number of reps on this.
Yeah.
Both players also running Hard to Find Out, I believe.
Yes, they are. They both are running hard.
Yeah, so that's another card just to keep an eye on because, you know, particularly when the decks start to thin out a bit and you get them on sort of multiple turn cycles towards the end. Sorry, multiple deck cycles towards the end. Okay, so Sam sort of taking his time on this one.
He's thinking if it's worth taking 6 to gain back 5 life through Tome of Find Out.
Yep, and I feel he obviously knows that math very well, but I think he's probably just checking his graveyard, saying, like, importantly as well, what can I do with my 5-card hand? So I feel if you're drawing those, like, you know, if you're up to 5 cards off Tome of Find Out, you probably want to be able to go either something with Go Again or at least
Dominate, pummel.
Interestingly as well, we see Sam electing to not play any Command & Conquers. Not that it's particularly good into this because of Crown of Seats, but just another thing to note.
Sam is definitely thinking about this.
Yeah, just another cool card I wanted to spotlight while we've got a moment in Winton's deck is Blue Brother in Arms, which I think is quite good because it just means you're able to, you know, use, if you're going with Crown, it just gives you, so Blue Blood Rounds defends for 2, but you can pay an additional resource to make it defend for 2 more. So it just allows you to kind of sometimes block efficiently, play Staunch Responses. Ooh, so he gives up a Red Pummel and a Pulverize.
Yes, so that's very interesting, to be honest. Those two are very important in these matchups. Pulverize taking 14, Oldham will be taking damage.
Yeah, like, or at least stripping cards, which we've talked about over and over again.
It's an easy 2-card block. I think he's just gonna sledge again. Okay, so he's gonna Winter's Bite.
Okay, so he's coming in with the Winter's Bite here. Yeah, so the Pummel Pulverize block was, because the one thing is that he could have defended with a blue card and still gone pitch 2 to swing for 6 there and retained that Pulverize. So both players sort of pretty happy to trade. And you know, to Sam's credit here, but like we said, that 9 life lead opened up early, but he's managed to sort of bring that back down to only a 5 life deficit.
Yeah, and this Anaphos is only coming in for 4. So it's not the best attack. It's not as great as 6, but
yeah, I feel he did a very good job of sort of weathering the early storm to get through here.
I like Winton's play, taking it, because he knows he's a Rouser Ancients. Yeah, there we go. So that's coming with 7, Go Again, and he's coming
into 6 with the Anathos.
Revealing Oakenold and Glacial Footsteps. No, that means
Yep,
he'll have big finishes for the late game when he reaches it. Because both players know they're going to reach at least half or even the whole pitch stack.
Exactly. And I believe he may have pitched the Earth card just earlier. In order to, that may have played into the decision as well to defend with the E-Strike and then pitch the Earth cards to set up the stack for the late game. Because I believe, if not mistaken, he did pitch a Earth card last turn, which means when he pitches this Channel Lake Frigid, which he's got there, and then the Glacial Footsteps and Oakenold, ideally that sets him up for a turn cycle at the end with a fused Oakenold.
Yeah, so Winton, something funny is Winton hasn't used his Crown of Seeds once. I think that Arsenal card's been there since turn 2 or 3.
I guess in a way it's not the most efficient to use without something like the Staunch or the Brothers in Arms.
Just curious on what it could be.
Okay, so he pushes through another 3 damage. So I feel that life total things have been sticking there around about the 5 area. And there we see just another Zealous Belting going to come up from into a sledge. Yeah, no, he does have the resources. Zealous Belting into a sledge for 6.
Yeah. Winton's trying to be a fly player right now.
Yeah.
Just keep attacking Sam. Keep the pressure up.
Because I think we've seen 3 E-strikes, and is that the 2nd or 3rd Zealous Belting?
I believe that's the 3rd Zealous Belting.
The thing is, Sam will be aware of this, so he knows that once the E-strikes and the Zealous Beltings, and also 2 Rousers have been played as well.
Yep.
So if this is the 3rd Zealous Belting, then that means there's only one more, I believe, one more go again attack in the deck, which is the 3rd Rouse the Ancients. Oh no, he only plays 2 Rouse.
2.
Okay, so this might be the last go again attack in the deck. So, I mean, that's the thing. It's not like overly concerning for Winton, because it's much better to get your value out of all your go again attacks and not be forced to defend with them or lose them to discard or things like that.
Yep.
But it is something that I imagine Sam will be aware of when he's looking towards how he wants to play the sort of mid to late game.
I feel like this game Sam hasn't really had his turn. He hasn't, apart from turn 1 dominating a Spinal Crush, he has not dominated anything. He hasn't even played a Spinal Crush or Crippling Crush. I think he's just waiting for that window where Winton just attacks with Sledge, he can afford to take it, and then he can try getting back to tempo with those huge attacks.
And I saw as well that he's not afraid to block with these big attacks like Pulverize and Crippling Crush. I imagine some of that logic might be, he just needs to structure his hand so he has enough boost to Anathos, but also being very aware that Winton has access to a large number of defensive cards. Biting Gale, Sink Below, Aeos Respite, and Staunch Response, red, and I believe Staunch Blue possibly. No, not Staunch Blue, but I feel he doesn't want to get blown out by taking a bunch of damage, coming for this big attack, only for it to get completely iced out.
Yeah, that'll be that's a big blowout. He wants to line us pummels with his huge attacks.
Yeah, and I wonder, I'd love to hear Sam's thoughts on this as well, saying if I can force you to use your defensive actions inefficiently, is that going to stick you with a fair number of reds in the late game?
So Sam's really thinking about this. See if it's worth blocking.
Yeah, and I feel a lot of thought goes into these blocking. So that's a 2nd Crippling Crush he's blocked with. And that's a Remembrance in hand as well. Okay, so he's going to take another damage. So he got caught out maybe a little bit there with the Remembrance. Okay, so he's happy just to pitch that and set up the Seismic Surge. Looks like he didn't want to play it just yet. Perhaps there's a set of targets that aren't stacked up in the graveyard yet that he'd like.
Oh, sorry, Karen. This is the last.
Okay, this is the last Zealous Belting, so we're off by 1 there.
Man, just back-to-back Zealous Beltings, back-to-back Lion Strikes. Winton's just not giving Sam no breathing space.
Yeah, and I feel Sam's got to be feeling under the pump a little bit here, because just there's been, I think nearly every turn there's been a go again attack into a Sledge or an Endless Winter.
Winton's actually threatening 10 minimum 10 damage every turn.
Because you feel like he's going to go for the Oakenhold here, or probably just keep up with the Sledge and save those Okens for later?
I think he's going to keep the Okens for later. There we go. He's keeping it in his hand. Because he knows Sam's playstyle, he's probably going to block. So now if he draws an Earth, and an Ice, and a Blue. Let's see if he goes. Oh, so I see an Earth. And is that Endless Winter?
Yes, it is.
Alright, Crown of Seeds. He draws the Ice card as well.
Picks up the Ice card. This Anathos is only coming in for 4 as well.
Okay. Maybe he already has an Ice card?
Okay, yep, so the Crown of Seeds prevents the additional damage there. Okay, so it looks like he's happy just to keep on going with these Sledges for 6. And I can kind of understand why he's doing that here as well, because he's just thinking, why give you a bit of time to use your defense reactions efficiently when I can potentially just look to set up these really, really good pitch stacks for late game.
So if Sam wants a big turn, he would either have to use his armor, or potentially go down to 7 And Winton's sitting on 24 life. The life difference is very high.
Yeah, he's definitely started to open up the gap here. One thing as well, Sam got caught out a couple of turns with 2 blocks in hand, which made him take a bit of damage. So there were a few turn cycles I noticed where he chose to take 2 from the Zealous Belting, defend the Sledge with 2 cards, take 1 damage there, and then come back with Anathos just to try and keep a bit of pressure up.
There you go, losing a red disable and a red. He's losing all his red cards, Kieran.
Yeah, it looks like he has not prioritized those red cards much at all.
Pitching Pummel. So
Oh no, and that's just an Anathos for 4.
He's just gonna, sink. Try to fix his hand. Alright, so he drew Thunderquake. I think he's just gonna pitch 2 to play Thunderquake.
He may just pitch everything for the Anathos, keep up with his game plan here. Sorry, not the Anathos, it's Sledge of Anvilheim.
I think he's gonna attack. Oh, so he's got endless. It looks like he's got endless winter.
He does, so I think there's 2 options there to play the Endless Winter.
Attacking for 8.
Attack for 8, or just come with the the Sledge of Anvilheim for 6. And potentially there's a Crown of Seeds play here if he wants to pitch the Crown of Seeds, see if he improves his hand.
Okay. Did he pitch endless? No, he pitched 2 blues. So he's keeping the endless winter in his hand.
I kind of understand it because the Tunic's on 2 counters here as well.
Yeah.
And so if this forces out 2 cards, you can sort of defend the Anathos coming back with 2 cards, pitch 1 blue Tunic in the Winter, and just keep putting that pressure on.
Yeah, Sam is definitely feeling the pressure. Being on 13 and dealing with minimum 6 damage a turn.
Yep.
It's not ideal. Especially since his deck does not play a lot of life game. Only Findle.
And the Heart of Findale, that's about it.
And the Heart of Findale's at the very bottom.
I think we are going to finally see that tone play. So he held on to that for a very long time. But he's going to gain the 3 life here, go back up to 16.
He has, how many cards again? 4 or 5?
3 cards in hand.
Oh, okay.
So it looks like he chose to save that maybe until a turn where he felt like he kind of needed to make something happen. So, okay, so we've got a Surge coming down. Now the Staunch Response obviously not a 3 cost or more, so it's not turning on the Anathos here. I mean, he does have the option to play the Showtime potentially.
His hand's just not great.
Yeah, I mean, he can pitch to his hero ability and then pitch another card to Anathos for 6 if he wanted to.
Is that opposing Visage? Okay.
I think this might just be an Anathos coming in, but we will see. Yeah, then just the Anathos comes in for 6 here. Okay, so we see an Oasis Respite there, so another good way to get efficient use out of that Brother-in-Arms. But I guess at this stage, if he feels he doesn't need it, he may just hold on to it.
Man, that was an awful turn from Sam. Just not being able to find the huge attacks.
Yeah.
Backed up by Bravo.
I guess this is a slightly awkward hand here.
Oh, using the Ironhide legs.
Okay, yep. I feel it's just a slightly awkward hand there because he had the 2 blues in the Oasis Respite, didn't have Tunic on 3. Okay, so now he's able to keep that card and go in this Winter like that. I feel he would have liked to just have 2 blues there. 2 cards, just defend the Anathos with 2 cards, and then pitch your blue Tunic and come with the Endless Winter. Because giving up their equipment when you don't really need to.
I mean, he could have used Crown of Seeds and shuffled his Arsenal and then used Oasis and just take 1 and keep the Ironhide legs. But
Yep.
he must value his Arsenal very highly if he chooses to just use his legs instead of just Crown.
Okay, so this is not fused, so Sam does have the option to, say, defend with 3 cards here, come with Anathos.
The thing is, he's attacking for 8. Alright? 8 is a awkward number because he wants to defend with 2 cards. He's still leaking damage, still taking 2.
And there we are, back to a 10 life difference again. Now, I don't know...
Alright, so this is... Okay, it's Cranial Crush for 8.
Yep, I guess it's just that awkward number you mentioned of the 8 damage coming through. So I don't know how much this plays into... And we see the 1 Insidious Chill, a bit of a tech card in there. I don't know how much this plays into the player's thinking as well, but potentially Sam might be thinking if he can play for sort of an ultra late game, he may be able to gain sort of multiple triggers off that harder finder.
Yeah.
There is a thing as well, you have to survive through fatigue and you have to actually get to that point. It's hard for us to see the number of cards in deck and graveyard on both sides, but I would have to think that Winton's slightly ahead on cards at this point, just with how this game has gone.
Crown of Seeds.
Looks like he can defend with... okay, so he has the Biting Gale.
Yeah, so Biting Gale, no Fuse, so it just defends for 4.
Yep.
Yep. The old Sledge
Yep, Sledge just coming in for 6 yet again. No conditions on that, like Anorthoth as well, so you can pitch any 2 cards. Yes, just to answer the chat, Kale did make the top cut. His top 8 game is currently happening. I'm unsure if it's finished or not, but he was the number 1 seed at a 7-0 in Swiss. So he's able to set up the Biting Gale in Arsenal here. So I think he would love Sam to like take damage here to try come with a dominated attack. And there is that Harder Findo in his hand.
Is this deck that low, or did he shuffle?
I think the first pitch we saw was Winton pitching the Harder Findo to gain a life.
No, I remember Sam pitching Harder Findo first turn.
Oh, that's right, he did, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think he shuffled, so he must
Does
have...
this deck count that low now? Surely not.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to tell from this angle, but he's gone through a lot of cards, and that's taking 1 more life. Zealous Belting gone. I mean, that's really been the story of the game, isn't it? Sam's been forced to block with...
The Zealous Beltings, where
Yep.
Winston can just freely play them. See, so that's the Harder Findo.
So that's going to gain a life.
Coming in for 4.
Yeah, notably as well, Sam isn't playing the Oasis Respite, so he doesn't have that sort of additional life gain option.
Yeah, using Crown. Alright, now we see Winton's Harder Finder.
Yeah, so they've
Actually... No, maybe they've gone through quite a bit.
I guess Winton would have got there a little bit quicker using his Crown of Seeds.
But Winton's only used maybe Crown of Seeds 2 or 3 times this game, right?
That's true, and there hasn't been that many Earth Reacts used either.
Yeah.
I mean, those decks are looking pretty thin, actually.
Yeah,
now
are.
I can see.
Man, time goes fast when we're having fun, eh, Karen?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man.
Well, I mean, just one metric, one sort of non-scientific metric I can see is it looks like Sam has more cards in graveyard than deck, whereas Winton looks like that's not quite there yet. So, so I know that's not exactly a scientific deck count, but there you have it.
It's just I don't know what Sam is waiting for, to be honest. Okay, so he's taking 3 damage, meaning he has 4 cards to play with.
Okay, so he is now again going back to 10 life behind. Okay, we see the Surge come down.
He's Dominate, Crippling. Alright, so coming for Dominate 11.
So I think he has that Biting Gale in the arsenal still, if I'm not mistaken.
No, he used Crown of Seeds last
I
time.
counted away. Okay, so let's see if he has... Is that the Pulse of Isenloft?
Or maybe I'm wrong, Karen. Maybe he has it? No, he has
the Oasis Respite. Yep, so that's 7, 8, 9.
8, 9, yep. Taking 2.
So after all of that, he only takes 2 damage.
And then Winton, Sledge.
Yeah, now Sam, I mean, he took 3 damage in order to get 2 damage back there.
And Winton will definitely be happy with that.
Yep.
He's on the higher life.
And it looks like high life, and it looks like high deck count as well. We haven't seen Remembrance played yet, so that is something to note. So that's sort of a net plus 2 cards in deck.
Yep.
Oh, is he going to pummel here? No, he wants to just, yeah.
There's no point wasting pummel here.
Yeah.
You want to pummel on, your crippling crushes and stuff like that.
Now, I expect we might see...
Nope. Just
Yep.
sledge,
Amethyst
get
for
the
6.
Arsenal in.
And that's also tomorrow going into Arsenal here, which we'll be able to recycle things, some cards from the deck.
Yes, let's go Oaken Old, Glacial Footsteps, just big power cards out.
The Endless Winter, I suppose, as well.
Yep.
Yeah, but I do really feel the story of this game was, definitely written by Winton in the first sort of 6 or 7 turns where he just had an absolute flurry of going in attacks. Zealous into Zealous and Sledge, Enlightened Strike into an attack, and then Rouse, Zealous, Enlightened Strike.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely worst case scenario for Sam. Like, he's not able to get off his Zealouses to get the tempo back. He takes a lot of damage and is forced to defend with a large number of cards.
Sam looking to... Oh, yep. So Sam's looking to try push again, push some damage again. Go to 8.
Okay, so we can see the Remembrance there.
Thunder Hammer, 7 dominate. I don't think that's good enough, Karen. The Crown preventing 1.
Is it a Biting Gale in hand? I don't think he has the Earth card actually to stop this here though.
He has Crater Fist.
There's a Crater Fist.
But 5. Oh, that's only 6, Karen.
I think that's a Biting Gale in hand, which would be 5, 6, 7. So Crown plus Crater Fist is 3 plus a Biting Gale 4.
Okay, so he elects to...
Okay, so pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good for Sam there.
Alright, now Sam has a 5-card hand. Let's see if he can swing it back. Alright, so Sam choosing the Remembrance.
So he's remembrancing before he draws up for the turn, isn't he?
I think, yes.
Okay, so he is just choosing to get back the full slate of Crippling Crushes, potentially here. I mean, as far as raw damage goes, hard to look past it. There is the Pulverize option as well.
Right, there we go. Free Crippling Crush back in the deck.
I feel he's sensed here that, I mean, he would have been paying attention to his opponent's pitch stack. I think that was a very, very well-timed Tear Asunder.
Sam's deck looking very thin.
It is, indeed. I feel like this is a turn that he really needs to make count.
He needs to draw a Crippling Crush right now.
He needs to, get the tempo back right now.
3 blues and Crippling.
Oh, I think that's it. Now, he does... Oh, there is a Staunch Response in hand.
Alright, live and dominate.
So it's going to be a big... Is that a Biting Gale? In Arsenal, I'm not sure. But he does have the option... He does have the red Staunch Response here.
And that defends for 10 if you pitch 6, right?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so he pitched his whole hand to Staunch, taking 1.
Okay, so I mean, life total's getting down. So now that his deck's quite thinner, we'll have to see if what I mentioned earlier about the Heart of Fyendale coming through.
Is that another Crippling Crush, Karen?
I couldn't quite spot.
I see a pummel. Oh no, so Macho Grande. 8 dominate.
Now, unfortunately, that's going to run into another Staunch Response, it looks like. So we talked about potentially trapping some of those defense reactions, but it doesn't look like that's really going to happen here.
Alright, so Brother in Arms using Tunic Cannon, paying 1, blocking for 4, and Earth React. So just taking 2 damage, keeping 2 cards in hand.
Okay, looks like he's happy just to save that Staunch for later on, and then just come back in.
Back into the Switch game.
Yeah, I think this is looking very, very dangerous just in terms of fatigue for Sam here.
Sam needed a big attack, like maybe Tear Asunder Anaphos, Crippling Crush.
But yeah, I mean, I hate to keep going on about it, but I feel those early turns just put him so far behind that it's just such a big mountain to climb back from.
Well, Sam still has his armor, surprisingly.
Oh, okay, so we may have a judge call here, because unfortunately, in his haste to draw cards, he's revealed extra cards at the top of the deck. So we'll just leave this for the judges to sort out. Absolutely no malicious intent there. Like, we all saw it. He just, unfortunately, went to draw the cards and kind of knocked his deck. So I suppose while we have a moment, we can just assess the game set here. So Sam's got 2 cards in hand. So he is able to just sort of Anathos for 6. But that deck is looking very, very thin. Whereas Winton, it looks like he still has, like,
Half his deck.
half his deck left, yeah. And neither the Crippling Crush nor the Macho Grande was able to push through for damage, really.
So great news from our other matches.
Okay.
Jared Fung just made the top 4, beating another 5-player.
Looks like we have unconfirmed reports that Kale won his top 8 matches also into the top 4. What I may just do, just while we have a quick judge call, I'm just going to see if I can get the results of the other top 8 matches for just the viewers.
I'll hold down the fort.
Okay, so we just checked in. It was just a caution. Opponent got to choose whether to put the cards on top or bottom. Decided to put them all on the bottom. And just to let everyone know, it looks like Kale did in fact make the top 4. He's actually started his game against Jared now.
Oh, has he? Oh, I'm just looking forward to putting it on stream.
Yep, looks really like we might have to wait to see if he makes the final for that one. Okay, so we see Disable coming in for 7, I believe. I was just able to confirm, like, looking in person, as we pointed out, Winton does have significantly more cards in deck left.
Do you know the game Joshua Baines versus Dane? Do you know how that went?
I actually couldn't see those players. I'm not quite sure who won that one.
Must have been done 20 minutes ago.
Yeah. We did hear some clapping about 5 minutes into this game, so that may have been... Okay, so this might be, I feel, almost the final stand in a way. Like,
he's throwing the fridge.
Throwing the fridge in, he's taken 1. I guess that's one thing we sort of neglected to mention, that despite the life difference, you know, there was that armor, which actually really matters, you know, which represents about 6 life. That has now been given up. I feel he needs this Crippling Crush to connect. He just absolutely needs it.
Pitching heart.
Heart to gain a life. So we are seeing the heart start to come through a little bit.
Okay, bravo. Alright, Crippling Crush. Live and dominate.
Now, interestingly, he was able to put that Staunch Response on the bottom as part of that caution, and I'm not sure if he has the Defense React in hand here. I can't quite make out the hand. Looks like he might have a Biting Gale plus Earth React, though. That would stop 6 of the damage, I believe.
Yeah. He used to throw his Crater... Yeah, there we go. Throw his Crater Fist.
6.
Use this. And then Earth...
The Crown. 7.
React. Yep.
8, 9.
So... taking 2. Yeah, these Crippling Crushes just aren't pushing the damage and doing the damage to Winton. He's just defending, taking 2 or 3 damage, and now, you know what he's going to do?
I suspect that if I had to take a wild guess,
Yeah,
it's going to
there
be
you
a sledge for 6. One really interesting thing though about that caution and the fact that he got to put the staunches on the bottom.
Oh, really?
He got to put the red staunch on the bottom, which meant he was probably hoping to line up that crippling crush without having to run into a red staunch. But just the defensive tools are just very impactful here. And like, while the heart is going to do a lot of work, I just think you're not going to Anathos your way out of this one. And
100%.
I think that's all 3 crippling crushes gone now from the remembrance. Because he drew one on the first turn, and then I believe he played another one afterwards as well.
So I think there's one left. I think. Okay,
Oh, so
taking
he's going down to 4.
4.
I mean, could this be the last crippling? Like, this would be the time. This would be a very good crippling crush here.
Oh, he's got... Yeah,
Oh,
there we go. Alright.
Oh, but no, he's got the pulse.
Does he?
I think so.
Oh, yeah, he does have the pulse. But the pulse only defending for 6?
Potentially tune a crater for 7-8 though. Oh no, that is...
I think he... Yeah. He had...
We'll see what happens here. That's got to hurt for Sam though.
Yeah, oh, there we go. Yep. Taking 3.
I think he really needed that one to connect.
Yeah. Yep, keeping 2 cards. Sledge.
Because I mean, that one connecting for sort of 5 or 6,
It could have really changed the game.
that potentially could have changed.
Also, it's hard to find it as well. Yeah, now his crippling crushes is all gone. His remembrance is all gone. I think this is just...
Yeah, that could be. I'm just trying to think of if he's able to line up sort of something like some sort of dominated attack to get through.
I just thought maybe pummel, but I don't know how many he has left.
We did see him block with at least a red pummel early. I mean, he's got one in hand at the moment.
Is it red though?
It could be, but I feel even that it's going to be very difficult to push the damage through.
Well, oh yes, that's right. Every sledge is lethal now. He just
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of these. Oh, careful, Winton. I think, I hate to sound like a broken record, but I just feel that early game was so impactful that it just... Because we see the life totals, even with that, like how it's... I mean, obviously the cards in deck is a more important metric in this game, but I think the fact that like all that damage came through early just meant it removed any flexibility he had in the sort of mid to late game.
100%. And as well as all 3 of Sam's crippling crushes never...
Yeah, none of them connected.
Yeah.
Okay, so we just seen Anathos for 4.
React. Taking 2. Going to 6.
Yep, and I think that makes a lot of sense here. He knows that Sam's probably got, 2, maybe 3 hands left this game now? And he has one more turn where he could block it with 1 card. But yeah, even then, I mean, I just saw last card of Winton's hand there is the red Oasis Respite. That's going to be
Winton still
very
has
good.
plenty of gas. But I don't think I've seen an Oakenol he's using Oakenol to defend or play.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of those pitch just at the sledge, and he also has multiple So Tomorrows left in the deck as well, on top of everything else. Okay, so this looks like the final stand, so it's going down to 1 life. Okay, what can Sam put together? Okay, so he's going to gain 1 from the Heart of Findel. But it's just not enough. Did he forget to gain life there, or perhaps he just hasn't updated it on our side? Ah, yeah.
6 again.
So I think, to state the obvious, Sam would have liked to play towards this game state, but with about 15 more cards in deck,
Stop. Pitching the Staunch. Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Taking one.
So he holds on to 2 cards here. But again, we just see another Staunch. We see an Earth card there. I'm struggling to see where the damage is going to come from here to close out this game. From Sam's side. Oh, okay.
Oh.
Okay.
Or maybe he was trying to sneak one in there, Karen.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
Winton having the reaction and probably
Okay,
just
well,
knowing.
I mean, that's a very awkward hand for Winton here, but, I mean, honestly, it just doesn't matter enough. He can defend with 2 cards and switch back for 6. Because I suspect as well what Sam, we mentioned briefly he might have wanted to try just isolate the defense reacts and, go through them at his leisure in the late game.
Yep.
But because of the life discrepancy in the cards in deck, he was kind of forced into these kind of Hail Mary crippling crushes, hoping they would connect, and then just... Okay, so I think...
Oasis.
Yep, I believe he still has it in Arsenal. Ooh, did he misblock here thinking he could Staunch from hands? I don't think so.
He doesn't have Staunch in hand, does he?
I believe he has a red Staunch there,
Oh.
yeah.
Right,
No. He had the Oasis there, so he's happy just to hold on to that.
Sledge.
Yeah, I mean, the card in deck discrepancy is very, very high at this stage. I mean, I'm just trying to think if there's one more dominate attack he could somehow, like a Macho Grande, that he could somehow sneak a win through. I mean, he knows the Staunch has just been pitched to the bottom now. Okay, so he's going to gain 1 life from that. So that's what I was talking about the Heart of Finder. Like, it is doing a lot of work here.
I think he's gained probably like 5 or 6 life from it already.
Yeah.
4? Still lethal?
Yeah, and
many cards is
he's got
that?
1 card left in deck now.
So you can actually block with Creator first, block with a card and go to 1. And have 3 cards and try to close out. Winton does have no arsenal, but there's an attack in there.
I'm not sure there's a big attack. I think I'm seeing Rouse the Ancients, a Heart,
And
Showtime.
Oh yeah, he doesn't have an attack. Is that Pummel? Oh no, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and it looks like... I mean, he can Anathos for 6 here, gain a life. But what's going to happen, I think that Spinal Crush is just going to strip the last few cards from his...
Oh, you actually can't block the Spinal Crush. Yeah.
Back for 5, 6...
Oh, so you can use Crater. Oh no, that's blocking for 5. Even with that.
Yep,
yeah,
and that's it, and that's great. And I really like the change of pace there. We got to show the viewers a sort of kind of more slow and steady game of Flesh and Blood there. Apart from the first few turns, like we said, where
Winton was just going ham.
yeah, the really aggressive plan paid off big time for Winton.
Yep.
Like we say, it did align from very nicely, but that's what you play towards, right? That's how you build your deck in a way that lets you go a little bit aggressive. And so when it comes to the big time games in the top 8, sometimes it pays off, and it paid off in spades there.
Yeah, congratulations to Winton for making the top 4.
Yeah, congratulations to Winton. Congratulations to Sam Payne as well for making a very good game out of what was a very tough spot, I feel. Yep. We will just take a very short break while the top 4 gets set up. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in about 5 to 10 minutes max. Welcome back, everyone, and I'm here with a Marnie is again for the semi-finals.
Returning veteran.
So we have Joshua Baines, who progressed. I believe he beat Briar again in the quarterfinals.
Yep.
Up against Oldham.
That was a very close match, just to let the viewers know.
Yeah.
Because it was off camera. So he came in for tons, did all the equipment cracking, etc. On the going second. So he put his opponent to go first, and then just laid into him turn one. And the Briar player went to about, I think it was under 20.
Oh, okay.
And then he came back with a very impressive turn and put it to about 16 to 19. And then they actually had about 3 or 4 more turns, and the Briar player literally had him dead on board next turn with a blue because of no arcane barrier with the classic grasp sword for 2.
Yep.
And he just, Joshua managed to have a playable hand with, at the end of it all, when the Briar player went to 1, he plays double strike.
Oh,
and it was just
wow.
like ruthless, and then dead from there. So he's doing really well. And another player doing really well is this Winton character from down the way on Oldham. So tell me about what you've seen of him today, Ken.
Yeah, so we just saw him play a game into Bravo. It looks like this one's about to kick off, but the story of that game was just a lot of going in attacks. He went very aggressive, put Bravo on the back foot early, and just really leveraged that into just fatiguing him out, really. Like, he just repeated attacks with the sledge. He used all his defense reactions to shut down the big dominated attacks, and he managed to pull through.
And walking past their table, I heard him saying he was managing, or he just naturally was pitching a lot of reds, so he had some, whether it was good defense or attack in the late game as well, or something like that.
Absolutely. Now, it'll be interesting for Joshua here, because I know he's played into a few of those aggro matchups, the Blossom of Spring being able to go off like very, very hard.
So Josh chose this play draw, or play first, second.
Yes, he would have.
Yep. So he's going first. Yep. Sorry, what were you saying?
So I was just going to say, we've seen Joshua play into these aggro matchups on stream, so he's played into Briar, where a lot of it's that Blossom of Spring going off for like one very massive turn on sort of, say turn 1 or 2.
Yeah.
We'll have to see how he adjusts to playing into this older matchup, which I imagine would be very, very different.
Yeah. I think there's a couple of solid Guardian or Oldham players down Josh's way where he lives, so I'd hope he's tested it a bit.
Absolutely, no, I'm sure he has, and we see him start off with the little fetching the minnow on the turn 1.
Nice, getting it done.
So
is it actually quite good value for Fi here? Like, just if Guardian, Oldham doesn't have an arsenal, like, is it just good to attack into no arsenal, or?
It depends how much damage. I think that might be a snatch I saw in hand.
Oh, sneaky.
But so we'll see the Searing coming for 3. Get back the Phoenix Flame. I think he wants to beta block. Oh, the Crown of Seeds is going to stop that.
Draw 1? No? Yes.
Yes, so...
Oh, nice.
Okay, so he managed to push 1 damage and in with the card in Arsenal.
That's quite good, I guess.
Honestly, he's probably going to be happy enough with that. He got value out of the Snatch. He didn't have to use the Sound Dragon Scalers.
And he's 4 cards closer to fatiguing Oldham.
Yeah. Maybe 3, because I think 1 was the Earth Reactor or the Crown.
Yes, true.
Sorry, it wasn't Crown.
Oh, that's a thing. Winton, clearly very adept player here with this deck.
Yeah, so we see the Heart of Findale pitch to the Channel Lake, and then just a little bit of sequencing here, pitching the Ice card into the Winter's Whale.
Perfect.
Because Winter's Whale cares about you pitching an Ice card to it. The Channel Lake Frigid only cares about you putting an Ice card on the bottom of the deck.
Yeah, so he's getting both Frostbite on hit and the Channel Stain. Which is
and
bad news for any ninja.
Yep, and that's going to be certainly a bit frustrating for Joshua to deal with here, because I can see he has the Art of War. Actually, I keep getting confused by the glare. I think that might be an Art of War in
Yeah, it
hand.
looks pretty Art of Warish. And another interesting one, looking at Winton's deck list here, he's got 3 Hypothermia in his Oldham. Have you seen that played today? Like, how's that looking?
I haven't seen a whole lot, because we just saw him play into Bravo, where it's not good. But I could see it. It stops attacks gaining go again. So things like Lava Vein, Loyalty, and the Searing Emberblade, for example.
Yeah.
Another cool thing we mentioned last game is the Brothers in Arms Blue. Just very efficient for using that final resource on like Crown of Seeds. So you pitch a blue, you can go Crown of Seeds, Rampart of the Ram's Head, block with Brothers in Arms, and pay 1 to bump it up to 4 defense.
Nice, yeah. That deals with a fair bit.
Okay, so he's chosen to play out the blue minnow here. Paying 1. Paying 1 for the Rising Resentment for 4. Okay, so that's the thing. The breakpoints against the Oldermoys aren't the best because they've got the Crown of Seeds. Crown of Seeds and Rampart is certainly something you have to go through. Now, from what I've heard from a few players, if you're playing Fine to Oldham, it does, I've heard it come down to you needing to set up very big turns.
Okay, yep. Just to push over those shoulders.
Yeah, absolutely. So, absolutely. So, to stop the Oldham standing staunch strong with his, his big shield, all those other things, you kind of want to be setting up, like, say, Art of War into Spreading Flames into Stubbies, using them all together rather than just playing them out as they come along.
Yeah, okay.
And now we see one of the tech cards that Winton was running, Crush the Week. He's running 2 red Crush the Week. This card is very, very strong because it shuts down, on the Crush effect is you can't play cards with base power 3 or less.
Right. Yeah.
Now, seeing as it makes up sort of 70% of the fire deck,
true, yeah.
It's very strong.
So I was saying to another player earlier, like I've seen this red come out a bit with Guardian recently, of course, but I believe Kale today, who's still in the event, he's playing the other one.
Chokeslam.
Chokeslam, yeah.
Yep.
And that seems pretty good as well.
Yeah, Chokeslam's very good. Obviously, it stops them going off for a turn because all their Spreading Flames, Stubbies, and Art of War aren't going to be relevant. I think Crush the Week is also very good. I can see in Oldham where you don't have things like Seismic Surges as well,
True,
being able to play that off one card. You do have the Tunic, but
3 cost versus 4.
Yeah, just wanting to be able to go pitch 1 card, play this, and now you have to defend with 2 cards.
Yep.
Or you don't get a turn, basically, or you get a very inefficient turn.
So suited Guardian cards to suited Guardians.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that.
So the Channel Lake will be going away after this turn. There's only 1 ice card being pitched here.
He's got a fancy Channel Lake in his pitch zone there. Oh, he doesn't want to get crushed.
Yeah, absolutely.
3 card block. That just must hurt so much.
Yeah, potentially 2, because he's got the Lava Burst. Oh no, so he's going to block with all...
Preserving life total, is he?
Oh, and that's a Spreading Flames gone, and that's a big card. Yep, so the Channel Lake's going to go away. So we may just see him, just decide to come in with a weapon here.
Well, what you were saying before as well about the needing to, or a very viable option you may need to do is set up large, is, I wonder if we'll see even like a kind of, tactic of Josh blocking out and preserving life total with cards that aren't part of a good combo turn.
Yep.
And just to find those and hope to smash them over in a few turns.
Well, looks like he chose just to pass the turn here. Now, things like the Easter egg, as opposed to the other matchup where it was very good into Bravo because you're able to put on pressure with these go wide, these are ones that Joshua is probably just all day long happy to take. He just doesn't care enough about the vanilla damage. But you know what he does care about? That second red Crush of the Week.
And just 12 damage,
so it looks like, I'm pretty sure he held onto that Art of War last turn. And so the fact that he's going to have to block out and hold on to it for another turn and not progress the board.
Yeah.
But I like it here that he's, like you were saying, like these are all cards that are somewhat redundant in the deck because you have a large number of them. Yeah. I think he's identified that, keeping that Tunic, Art of War, that's going to be the big turn.
Yeah. Do we think Winton will give him that window?
It may be tough because the thing is, even like a Frostbite, just one Frostbite can be very tough to deal with. I know Winton as well plays Biting Gale, which is very, very good into this deck because on Ice Fuse that makes them discard a card unless they pay 2.
And in terms of interesting cards added, I see the Insidious Chill from his list in his hand.
The one off tech, he does run an Endless Winter as well. So the Winter's Bite coming down here, he does have the Tunic counter up to stop it. I think at this point Winton's potentially identified that it is Art of War in hand because there's very few cards that you would just sit there and not even just pitch the weapon.
True, yeah. Clever man.
Yep.
And that's part of, I guess, upping your game as a player, would you say, as well? You got to survive 7, 8 rounds, get to a top 8, and then still remember all this, reading the signs, noticing the arsenal, figuring out what your opponent's doing.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of mental stress.
Yeah, so as far as some other tech cards in this matchup, I can see that Joshua is playing Liquefy.
Oh, okay.
So that's quite cool for taking that down, things like Crown of Seeds. Now, I think Winton is digging here because he does have the Oak and Old in hand. Has he found... No, so he's just going for the Art of War.
Oh.
Pitching the Spreading Flames.
Yep, nice.
Okay, so that's 1 spreading in the graveyard, 1 on the bottom of the deck effectively here. He does have littles to be able to shuffle the deck,
True, yeah.
and then Ice Hammer for 4.
Seems it's almost like maybe a fundamental, I think, now of aggro decks that, shuffling is like super important, right?
For certain ones, yeah. Now we'll have to see if he finally gets paid off for holding on to that Heart of War for a very long time. Because, Winter's going to crown. I think he's searching for an ice card to get the Frost Hammer off here. And he doesn't get it. So what he does have is quite a powerful just damage turn. He can go E-Strike into...
Oh, he's got an Ancient, rouse the Ancient there as well, if he can get it. Well, he can get it off with Glacial and E-Strike.
Okay, so does he have the blues? Because I think he wants to end this turn with that Biting Gale. I believe he's got a Biting Gale into Arsenal.
Maybe doesn't have the blues to do...
I don't think he has the blues.
No, he doesn't. Oh, is that an Oakenold, the 5th card?
I believe he held onto the Oakenold to see if he could get that off. So, said he's going to get rid of the Rouse.
Oh, okay. Save that for later.
And we'll see if he wants to hold him, because he may just pitch the Oaken and the Glacial to maximize.
Oh, okay.
So this is the window that Josh has very patiently played towards, and I'm pretty confident he's going to take this here. So the reason I'm saying this is because he's held onto that Art of War. He's blocked out for 3 or 4 turns in a row now. He's pitched cards instead of using the Tunic for the Winter's Bite. I just can't see him blocking this here.
Yeah. And maybe, do you think that's part of Winton again? Next leveling of
Okay, so now he has to really hope Winton doesn't get the ice card here. And unfortunately for him, he has.
This is...
Now the thing is, it may not end up being as punishing. It really depends on the construction of his hand here.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it is going to be punishing. So he's actually held it to save for the double Art of War. Okay, I really like this, because we talked about setting up really big turns.
Yeah, this could be one, for sure.
I feel like what he would love to have happen here is be able to get the blue, pitch it to a second Art of War, and hold
the belittle as well.
Oh, that is massive. That is absolutely massive here, because that is able to pitch up.
And he found a Spreading Flames.
We could be in for a turn, team. Oh, he's going for it.
This is it, and now we'll see if he can... See how he does this. Now he does run 2 blue minnows, so he does have access to another one on the deck.
Oh, yeah. And look what I'm revealing here, Winton, just so you know. There's a Spreading Flames coming.
Yep, unfortunately for him, it looks like he didn't find the blue, but he is able to pick up that minnow.
Big potential turn.
It does now. I think it's all going to come down to the Biting Gale timing on this turn, because I suspect, looking at this, that he may be going for the double Art of War turn, which is perfectly fine. But if he gets caught out at the wrong time going for a Searing Emberblade and gets hit by the Biting Gale, that is going to be very, very punishing for him. I think this one he's probably well aware that Winton is playing that card, so we'll just have to see if he's able to play around that. So it's 4 cards in hand.
And 5 damage here, which we're still dealing with, I believe.
Yep.
Oh, the double block. Oh, 1 equipment, yeah. I mean, Winton's been blocking 5 all day as well, so it's
okay, the second Art of War is coming down. Okay, these need to be good draws, though, in order to push through.
Oh, the liquefy.
Let's see what that does. How good would you say losing the crown is?
It's pretty impactful.
Yeah. Not just free, blanking Phoenix Flame every turn, perhaps. Don't get me wrong, folks. I'm very excited, but I'm just paying mind to how close we are realistically to the game itself, so we don't want to yell out too much about what we're seeing here.
Yeah, now, unfortunately, the Liquefy's okay, but it's not really what you wanted to draw on the double Art of War turn.
No, that's fair, yeah.
And he has popped the Stubbies on this turn.
Oh, and he's got an Erase face. Oh.
That's rough.
Now, this is going to end up being a little bit awkward for him, because I feel he doesn't really want to play the Spreading Flames is nothing, but he doesn't want to just end the turn with the Erase Phase either. And the huge issue here is that if he plays that Spreading Flames just for damage, that is going to be an absolutely huge blowout on Biting Gale.
Yeah, it's. I guess the problem is it's like a waste, right? Kind of of the whole turn.
So that's the risk you go for when you go for the double Art of War. It is a huge risk because you get onto 3 cards in hand. They need to both be really good. So there was potentially an argument to save the second Art of War there in Arsenal and go for it. But I mean, he'd set it up for so many turns. I can see the temptation.
And how differently does that play out? Like, say he gets 2 reds even, he can be coming for 6, and a Phoenix for 4, is it? So yeah. This is still an Erase Face for 8.
It is.
And that's something against Oldham, I think. It shuts off all the element stuff. Oh, and he just double blocks and Earth reacts it. That would be, I think, somewhat gutting for Josh there.
That is a huge swing in the game, because that is 2 Art of Wars gone and the Stubbie Hammerers.
Yeah.
And then
that might be the last Stubbie Hammerers he ever cracks.
it may be. It was very, very punishing him during the liquefying that swap there. Like, I can't overstate that enough.
I think he drew the Erase Face as well, right? Maybe.
Yes, he did. So that's probably the absolute last 2 cards you want to see there.
Well, sometimes you got it, sometimes you don't.
Okay, so there is a small window here for... but not really. It looks like what he's trying to do, because if he goes for the attack here... if he plays an attack here and goes for Liquefy, which I can understand you going for, that could be a very big blowout into Biting Gale.
Can you Liquefy onto a weapon or just an attack action?
I believe it's only an attack action. It has to be Chain Link 4 or higher. So I think Winton is actually playing into this here. Because he's going to go for... I don't think Josh was going to fall for this, so because if he goes Phoenix Flame for 1 and it's not blocked, he already knows it can be blocked by Crown, for example.
Is it the biggest blowout? Like, how is it still... It's relatively beneficial to get that Biting Gale out of there in a sense, isn't it?
Oh yeah, but the way he's done it here, there's just no point in playing to the... okay, so he did go for it.
Wait, what? Oh, that happened very quickly. Sorry, folks. Not quite sure what that was.
He may have just pitched the Earth card to prevent that there.
Okay.
I'm a little surprised he went for it there because the Liquefy was never hitting, because he had 1 resource up for the Crown anyway.
Okay. Because does Liquefy give plus at all, or is it just...
No, it doesn't. It just gains on hit to put a -1 counter. Then probably you could either put on the shield or destroy the Crown of Steeds, and you probably hit the Crown here.
Yeah.
I can see an argument for he just needs to clear it out of Arsenal.
Yeah. Double Strike, love that card.
Yep.
Have you been tempted to go back to some Katsu games? Because I feel like the Double Strike and Take the Tempo are pretty...
Yeah, they're very cool cards. It seems to have fallen out of favour a bit with Ninja players in preference to the Spy deck, which I understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a very cool card.
Anyway, back to this game. Sorry, folks.
Oh, it looks like it was a second Oasis. They were saying stopped it.
Okay. Thanks, team.
So it looks like it makes sense because he really wants to hold on to that Biting Gale for protection.
Optimal.
Because as long as he has that, he is just incredibly safe.
Yeah, that's true. It's still winter here in New Zealand, of course, so we're definitely feeling the ice.
Yep.
There's a lot of ice going around. Like to see more Icelander, but she might get there. Who knows?
Oh, actually, okay. So the Phoenix came in for 2 from Spreading Flames, so that's why he baited out the Liquefy there.
Right. Yeah. Oh.
Okay. Yep. And that's the value from the Biting Gale.
Yeah. So I believe Winton's played a fair few fires today.
Yep, and he is. I'd have to say, you're certainly not out of it at all yet on 5, but it's definitely a very significant mountain to climb. Because you've played 1 Spreading Flames, you blocked us once, it's 2 in the graveyard. You've played 2 Art of Wars, you use your Stubbie Hammerers as well.
Yeah.
So now your big combo turn, you've kind of only got access to 1 Art of War, 1 Spreading Flames left. You do have the Mask of the Pouncing Link still active, but really when you're this far behind on life as well, you actually open up the ability for your opponent just to act, once they get to their Oakenold stack, for example, they get actually very happy to take 12-15 damage and then just finish you off with 2 big attacks.
True, yeah.
So I'd say the game is certainly not over by any means. I just sort of wanted to point out,
Just acknowledging
that the game state here is it's difficult for Joshua.
Yeah. And that's all part of the game, not getting on tilt, not worrying about that, just thinking
absolutely.
about your best outs and so on.
So speaking of, Winton's very happy, he knows where the game is at. I talked about Oakenold, but he's very happy to block with these if he needs to.
Yeah. Well, I wonder sometimes, cards like that, if they bait players in, into that kind of greed or that fantasy of like, I'll get this off later, and then, and you hold and you take loads of damage, and it just doesn't end up being great. So.
Absolutely, because we saw Winton hold on to it for 1 turn, which I think was absolutely correct, because if he drew the natural Oaken, it was going to be a very strong play, and he identified that his opponent was trying to hold on to cards.
Yes, yeah. Just non-fuse react. That seems fine.
Yep, so it looks like he also has 1 resource floating, so he can just crown this if he wants to. Or shield, yeah.
Do we know what's in his arsenal now? Or it's obviously
I'm not
replaced.
100% sure, yeah, but I think Winton, he's identified that it's not his big attacks that he needs to like the last thing he wants to do here is take a ton of damage, get 1 big attack, and then slightly break and let your opponent back into the game.
True. He seems to be some amount of just sort of using cards where he comfortably can, maybe not for their full potential, but just to kind of get them out of the way for later.
Yeah, and it's the thing is as well, if you're playing into Oldham like this, they're very happy just blocking all day long. They can use their cards. Then you're never going to fatigue an Oldham on this deck.
Yeah.
They can block for free with Crown and Rampart over and over again.
And Earth React.
Yeah. So Joshua was certainly, I think, unfortunate. I saw the game plan he was playing towards with those double Art of Wars. It just didn't quite pan out for him. He had bricked very hard on those 2 draws.
Something else you may know to tell me is what's sort of driven this return I'm seeing of Endless Winter, because that fell out of favour for quite a while.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess I'll have to, I'd have to ask Winton that for the full scoop, but... Okay, so here we see the Brothers in Arms, and that's what I mentioned earlier, so you can pitch to use that additional resource, that block for 4 here.
Nice, yeah.
Winton, Joshua might actually be able to push a small amount of damage here, though. If he has a blue, he's able to go Searing Emberblade into Phoenix.
Oh no, another window and another liquefy, I believe. They're not lining up for him too well. Oh, he's ice.
Oh, he's ice reacting.
Oh, he's ice.
Oh, so he didn't actually pay that resource. He ice reacted him instead. Yeah, that makes sense.
Did he take 1 or?
So the Endless Winter, one thing I can think of as well though is if you're playing into Fi and you play that Endless Winter, and it hits, it means when they activate, they get a Frostbite. So often they want to activate Fire Hero ability and activate the weapon. So that can chain 2 Frostbites over the course of a turn.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Yep, and I see Man Sanders also pointing that out to us there. And here we see a Flame Call Awakening without the red first, so he's not able to search up a Phoenix. And this is the thing, this is just power cards being traded for blues. Oldham has a ton of redundancy, they just don't care enough. Okay, so it looks like he's pitching to Crown here, 2 resources floating. One Prevention Shield up.
Whoop.
Okay, yep, happy to use that, and the Brother in Arms to block 4, and still the resource up. He's got the damage prevention shield and the thing up. Yeah, and unfortunately he has missed a number of tunic counters this game. I think part of that might be as well that he's been playing with Blossom of Spring for most of the... and it is very easy to switch back.
Yeah.
I mean, those are classic sort of old dash control things where you play Teklo 90% of the time, but occasionally into the mirror you'd play the tunic, and then it was very easy to forget that.
Yeah.
Similar thing, I've done it before on Katsu in very important matchups as well.
Yeah. It's kind of, I think it's stuck as one of the kind of iconic, love-hates of Flesh and Blood as the tunic.
Yeah. Okay, so we see the prevention shield.
And Rampart and a sink below, yeah.
Yep.
Jeepers. The efficiency, eh?
Yep, so Winton knows exactly what he needs to do here, just keep blocking out.
And another binding gale. Yeah. It's tough.
It's just really, really, really difficult here. Because, like I say, he's got one more combo turn left with the Spreading Flames out of Warp Out Master the Pouncing Links. But I think Winton is extremely aware of that, so he just knows he needs to prevent as much damage as possible. Again, if he has, I'm not sure he's the Earth card here, but things like Double Strike, just being able to pitch a card and go Crown of Seeds, Rampart of the Ram's Head to block both of them, very, very efficient. Or just Earth React. I know, choosing to Crown here.
Best deck to deal with the double strikes, eh?
I think we'll see, yep, the Rampart.
He's got a couple of gas cards in hand.
Okay, so we don't have an update on who won that. Last I saw, by the way, just to let our viewers know, sorry, Blaze Headlong comes in.
I'll go find out. I'll come back quick.
Okay, we're just going to get an update on the top 4 match. And we see another Biting Gale fused. He does have the Salt the Wind to pitch to it. Last we saw in the top 8, it was a very, very tight game between Kale, McCreath on Bravo, and to Jared on Fi. Okay, Double Strike number 2 comes in. That might just get eaten by the Prevention Shield. And Joshua actually choosing to keep a card in hand there. And again, we see that this Frost Hammer for 4 is just, that's another 4 life gone, that's a Frostbite. If he does have a blue in hand, he'll be able to play around this. And that's the efficiency of Oldham we're seeing right here. We see the Heart of Fyndale drawn, blocks to 0, just doesn't matter. You can pitch it to the Crown, use it for the Rampart. So the Brand with Cinderclaw, very happy to trade that red card for just another blue in his deck. Okay, so I see he does have a Blizzard here. It doesn't block, but it can be very disruptive on the turn. Okay, so he's pitched for the Crown Prevention. Now, so he effectively has 2, he's got the Rampart of the Ram's Head available and the Crown, okay, but he does choose to play the Blizzard here. And I like this, you're so far ahead that, hey, look, even if you can pay for this, this is shutting down most of your turn, and you're not pushing any damage against me. Now I have one, as Oldham player, you have 1 card in hand, you've got the Shield block available, and you've got the Crown Prevention available. And then your Tunic's on 3 counters now, so you can put that card in Arsenal. You have that available for Crown of Seeds if you don't wish to pitch cards because you like your hand. And all the while, this is just really thinning through the Fires deck. Okay, so you're going with the Ice React here to disrupt the hand. So one thing here, he does have the Snatch, which is able to hit the breakpoint, but again, Winton has 1 card in hand left. He is able to use the Tunic for the Rampart of the Ram's Head and block this out for 4 if he wishes to. Okay, so then we just see the Brothers-in-Arms use the Tunic, able to pump up the Brothers-in-Arms to block for 4. And Winton, it was good from Josh there to play out the Phoenix Flame to see if he could bait out something there, but he wasn't able to quite get that through.
Jump in first.
Okay, so it looks like that's the Art of War Spreading Flames turn. So he has played towards this. This is what we mentioned as the
His final...
his sort of
almost
final sort of
attempt.
combo turn.
Yeah. So update is Kale McCreath beat another Phi in the other semi.
Oh, so he did win that
Yep,
game. I heard that was very close.
Yep, he just got there versus Jared Fong on Phi. So Kale on Bravo will be in the final, which will be interesting either way. And just to let everyone know, we've had a bit of a venue time cutoff, so after this game we will be relocating, doing our best to find reasonable internet at a location, and we'll reset up the whole stream so that you can watch the actual final, and we can award a winner tonight.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so that does mean there'll be a break between this game and the final.
Yeah.
We will try to keep everyone updated through sort of social media, Facebook, that kind of thing, so you're able to keep up.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so this is kind of the, realistically, I think this is probably the last hurrah. With Oldham on 35 live, this really needs to be impactful this turn.
Yeah.
Okay, so we see Lava Vein Loyalty coming through for 4. There is the Oasis Respite up available if needed. Okay, yep, so it looks like Joshua is really gunning for it now. Using the Mask of the Pouncing Lynx, I think he just knows that, like, if I'm ever going to deal damage the turn, these last few cards in my deck, I suspect it's going to be difficult to push through the damage in this turn. But full credit to Joshua as well for sort of recognizing he did stack the Art of War and the Spreading Flames, and he waited patiently for his turn to go off here. Double Strike coming in for 2 because of the Art of War. So Winton just throwing away the Tunic here. I think he knows how big this turn is. In a sense, its importance to the game. He just does, like, not want to get blown out. He's willing to give up that Tunic in order to get absolutely fully efficient blocks. So the Liquefy coming down to try and deal with the Crown of Seeds or the Rampart, I imagine. That's been stopped by the Oasis Respite here. Okay, and a Lava Burst coming in for 5. Winton happy to take the damage. And after it's all said and done, he, was willing to throw all the equipments in there, including the Tunic and the Crater Fist. But that's the thing, there's only able to push about 3 damage in the end, unfortunately. And that's the Pouncing Lynx gone, that's the last Art of War, and the last Spreading Flames gone. I think Josh needed to do that, but at the same time, I think Winton is feeling incredibly safe at this point. I don't think he actually gained the life from the Oasis there. I think he had actually taken the damage, but then when they went for the Liquefy, they reversed it. So he just prevented the damage. Okay, so Winton actually choosing to take damage here. I think at this point he knows he can actually start to pressure the life total with the Winter's Wail if he needs to. Because at this point he's played a very, very patient game, but at this point he knows that 2 Winter's Wails swings are lethal. So there's very few attacks. Joshua has very few cards left in deck. Yep, so now every attack from here on out is a must block. But, I do really appreciate Joshua's fighting spirit here. Not giving up the game, saying, I'm going to make you play, I'm going to play this out, even from a very tough position. And I think that's a trait that will serve him well in his Fab career. Okay, so the Lava Vein Loyalty is now coming in. He's happy just to take the damage. Yep, so he's happy just to take everything there. I think that may be a Tear Asunder in hand. I can't quite catch his whole hand. But I think he knows with the number of cards left in Joshua's deck now, he can actually force out full blocks until he runs out of cards. In fact, that does look like a... Oh no, that's Arouse the Ancients into a Winter's Wail. That could very well be lethal. So Joshua down to 1 life now. I think he's got 1 card left in deck, so I think we are sort of 2 hammer swings away, really. Yep, so Winton just, the player's just going through the motions here, but yep, this game, Joshua's down to 2 cards left in hand, and I think this will, yep, and that'll be it. Okay, so well done to Winton there, defensive masterclass, really shutting down those attacks. Please bear with us, we will just need to shut down the stream. It looks like we're going to attempt to relocate and keep this going for the final. We'll do our best to keep the audience updated. We're probably looking to start this back up again. Not entirely sure, sorry, but we'll look to post on the fan page where we go from here. Thank you very much for tuning in, everyone. Okay, I've just been updated. It looks like it may be about an hour or so for us to move venue and set it up for the final. So we will, we'll get back to you soon.
Okay, team, what's going to happen is we're going to leave the current venue because we've hit our curfew, and we are going to be live streaming the finals direct from wherever it is we can find, probably Matt Rogers' house. So see you in like an hour for the finals. Oldham versus Bravo, get hype. Winton versus Kale McCree.